I begin in the name of God, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the Absolute Creator, the Creator who has brought us into existence in this spectacular universe. And I bear allegiance that there is no God but one, the Absolute Creator. And through that I say I am truly honored and blessed to have this opportunity tonight, to have this audience, and to discuss a subject matter which really requires a great time, and I think we need to allocate a lot of energy towards it in order to fight the misconceptions that are unfairly aimed at a particular group of people. First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge Dr. Williamson and the Muslim Student Association's kindness to invite me, and of course your participation. I'm truly honored. The Holy Quran, as you know, is the scripture of the Muslims, and it is a book which are the injunctions for the Muslims. So let me briefly introduce this subject so that we understand when we say that Islam denounces terrorism, what do we mean by it? And why do we even have to speak about such a subject today, considering that the very term Islam means peace? So it's kind of a quagmire, as one would say, that a religion's title that has peace in it, how is it that it has to come to the front lines and has to denounce terrorism, considering that it has been branded as some kind of a religion that promotes terrorism in the modern world today? So I'd like to establish a few basic principles, and I think after we've covered a few topics, hopefully we'll have a Q&A session so we can clarify some more of these areas. The purpose of my speaking, by the way, let me just clarify, is not to proselytize. I don't believe in proselytizing, nor trying to convert people or revert people to the religion of Islam, because I'm a firm believer that religion and the acceptance is a personal thing, and it is exclusively between the individual and his Lord, and it is and her Lord. It is for us simply to expound and to expose the truth that we believe to be the truth. And of course, how does one ascertain what is the truth and what is not the truth? The Quran tells us very beautifully, it says, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal maw'idati al hasana." Invite people to the way of your Lord with kind exhortation, meaning with kind words. وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ. And use the most sound logic in your presentation. And the Quran also is very clear that whenever you have a dispute between two groups of people, there's a principle in Islam which establishes the fact that it says to the bring your proof if you are truthful. قُلْ هَاتُ بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Meaning the burden of proof, the need to exhort people with kind speech and to use sound logic is a fundamental human principle, regardless of what faith we profess for ourselves to be. First and foremost, I'd like to establish the fact that Islam is a monotheistic religion. It's a religion which believes in the oneness, the unity of God. You notice when Sister Samina was speaking, where she was reciting the verse from the first chapter, which is the opening, she says, in the name of Allah. Some people have misconstrued this Allah. They said Allah, it's a common word these days. Some people think this is some other God, believe in other religions. We have a principle basically that God has many names. Rab means Lord. Allah is his exclusive name. If you define the word in the pure Arabic form, the word actually means the one who is most deserving to be loved. This is what Allah means. But if you dissect it even further, not further, but if you take the surface value of it, it means the God, with the capital T, meaning the absolute God. There's a principle in Islam which is fundamental, that God, the Creator, is not relative, he is absolute, meaning he cannot be confined, nor does he have a frame of reference. God, the absolute, cannot be confined in a frame of reference, meaning he does not occupy space, nor is he subject to time, nor is he composed of matter, meaning he does not have time, nor matter, nor space, meaning he is not relative, and therefore he is absolute, and therefore he is the creator of this absolute universe. If you look at every religion that's theistic in nature, you will see that there is a fundamental principle of an absolute creator. If we go even to the most polytheistic religion today that is considered polytheistic, like Hinduism, you will find that Hinduism, in its truest principles, upholds the unity of God, meaning the absolute oneness of God, but that God manifests himself in some corporeal fashion, who is the created being is able to communicate with. That's Hinduism. But still, if you go principally, you'll find that even that polytheistic religion believes in the fundamental principle of the unity of God. When you go to Christianity, for example, you'll find the Father, okay, does not have a body. He's not corporeal. And he is the absolute God, the unseen creator. If you go into Judaism, the same thing, where Elohim is one of the names of God, and you find is the absolute creator. We're talking about the same God here. It's just a matter of difference of opinion in terms of how we call him, what we call him, and how we define it. Because it's common sense that humans who share the same universe have to come to the same conclusions. We cannot have multiple origins. And look at the simplistic argument that when we delve in science, for example, a scientist in Russia and a scientist in North America could be conducting experiments simultaneously at different locations, but they will all come generally to the same conclusions because we are sharing the same principles of existence. And that's very important for us to understand, that even scientifically and philosophically, we have to come to common grounds in order to understand our humanity. So I'm going to focus a little bit on the humanity factor here, and what does Islam have, what does Islam teach us about the universality of the human race? I think it's very, very important that the validity of any religion, quote unquote, and I am putting this in quotes because religion, according to the Islamic religion, faith is a way of life. It's a way of life. So if you take, for example, the German philosopher Erich Fromm, he says, the question is not whether you're religious or not. The question is, which religion do you belong to? Meaning, if you don't believe in God, or you don't accept the existence of God, meaning you're an atheist, or you're not sure whether God exists, i.e. you're an agnostic, or you do believe in some God, or whatever your belief system is, whatever, you take the entire spectrum of the human race, everybody is religious. Meaning it's a way of life. Not believing in God, not going to church, not going to the synagogue, not going to the mosque, is your way. To drink a certain liquid a certain time of the day, to do whatever you do, is known as a religion. So from the Islamic perspective, religion is a way of life, and it fulfills this idea that humankind has a way of living. Now, principally, a religion of God, meaning the creator, when God is there and there's a creator, there has to be a universal system. If mankind has been differentiated by skin color, by economic differences, by physical differences, but the Creator has made these differences, then the Creator has to give us universal principles whereby all humans can live under that system. We also know from the basic principles of Islam that the absolute God is absolutely good. There is no evil in God. I'm just going to introduce this very quickly, and then I'll get into the discussion about the denunciation of terrorism, but I think you'll appreciate it more once we understand this basic element that I'm speaking about. Evil is a concept many people have misunderstood in life. As a result of that, many pseudo or demi-religions have appeared in our societies. Deism, for example, dualism, all different types of religions have come into existence because of the misconception of evil. Even process theology is a good example of people who believe that God is not omnipotent, rather he's the creation of the universe. Why? The fundamental factor that's driving these ideologies is because of their misconception about the term evil and its existence. This is really the main reason. If you speak to atheists, you'll find atheism has a trouble comprehending the concept of evil with an absolutely good God. These two just simply don't match, and therefore they come to the conclusion that God can't exist. This is one of the arguments they use in their debates. Evil, from the Islamic perspective, is a creation of God which is a reaction to the lack of good. I will repeat it. From the Islamic perspective, evil is the existence based on the reaction of the lack of good which brings about evil, meaning entity that exists in any physical reality. There is no such thing as a physical evil. There is no such thing. It's a reaction to the lack of good that brings about evil. That's all it is. It's like in an examination. You can have 5 questions in an exam. Each question has 5 multiple choices, and all the 5 multiple choices can be the same in all the 5 questions. Okay? For the first question, 4 are evil, 1 is good. But for the second question, the one that was good for the first question became